person of Njoku Barnabas. Mind you, these are the two coaches so far to have grabbed a 3-on-3. And equally, match day 4 will be on the way as the fixtures continue. And equally to the West Regional League, they are up to match day 4 already, where they are preparing to clash against match day 5. And that is it in terms of our sports updates for today. We'll take on this break. When we come back, we'll talk about Patrice Motsepe's visit to Senegal and equally to Morocco, and why not the circumstances surrounding this particular visit. Do not touch that dial. You're still watching the Spot Box with me, Ngunyi Sonita. That is the name you should remember. And equally to tell you that ahead of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations qualifier, where we have Team Cameroon that are why not dotting the I's and cutting the T's. They are going to be having a friendly today against Deportivo Alfos over there in the Spain. And equally, this is to fine-tune the preparations ahead of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations. Mind you, it's over a week since they are there in Spain. And equally to remind you that tomorrow Cameroon will lock horns with China ahead of counting for the FIFA Series tournament. Mind you, Australia defeated them 1-0. And yes, with me in the studio today, it's a football lover, a fine gentleman who is going to be talking to us today about maybe what he thinks about Motsepe's visit to Senegal and Morocco, and in the person of Manu Musa. Good afternoon and welcome to the program today.
Good evening, Madam Sonita. Good evening to all viewers and lovers of Real TV. I'm delighted to be here with you today.
Before we get to talk about Patrice Motsepe and what is happening with him, first of all, which team do you support in the Premier League?
Actually, yeah, you know, nowadays in football, everybody has a particular team that they support. But for me, throughout my life, I have been a supporter of two teams. So I don't follow so many leagues. I've won the jersey of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Okay. That's the first, and then the second is the jersey of Real Madrid. So I've been the fan of.
Alone today, mind you, last edition on Friday, I was only Real Madrid set. Okay. I had Barcelona, Liverpool, and Manchester United who wanted to finish me. Oh. And I was looking for a Real Madrid fan.
No,
luckily I have you. So the day I'm going to invite my Barcelona fans, you're definitely going to be on set.
No, of course I'll be delighted to talk.
I always keep reminding them that we are 15 times champions.
No, that is what they have to know. And in football, especially in European football, when you talk football, you know you have to talk Real Madrid, and we're always the king. So they know that, although some of them will not want to acknowledge it, the Barcelonas, they don't want to acknowledge it, but you know, it is what it is, and everybody's aware of that.
Definitely, and I like that. Now, talking about our local league, do you have any particular team that you have a little bit of interest in?
Yes, of course. I think that this year is different. You know, like I told you behind the scenes, that always information on our local league is not always readily available. But I think you had a contrary opinion. Like you told me that maybe there are sources that I'm not really aware. But I think that a lot has to be done when it comes to our league, because the publicity, bringing the fans, the love for the game, it's really lacking. I do really appreciate the work that President Samuel Eto'o is putting in place, but I think a lot is still to be done. But as of the moment, I think I follow PWD of Bamenda.
Okay.
You know, I'm from the northwest,
Oh,
so
that's
why
nice,
not?
man.
And again, I'm happy for them because they started playing in their home ground this season,
year, yeah.
and they have been doing excellently well. So
Excellently
of course, I have some friends in Bamenda who follow them. So through them, I've learned a lot about PWD, and we are hoping that they will go a long way into our local league this season.
Definitely, and to tell you that Cameroon football equally, it's growing. Why do I say that? I mean, last Elite One Championship game in Bafang, they had a record of over 2.1 million out of get taken. To tell you that, should we say the fans are gradually coming back to the stadiums?
Exactly. I think that last season, when we had so many issues, controversies that involved the federation and the government, and people were divided, but you know, they have put that behind, and for the interest of the game, I mean, everybody's united. We don't have that social media standoff between so many camps, and people are focused on one thing. You know, Cameroon is a nation of football. We love football, so whenever football is happening, everybody is focused, and if you have the opportunity, especially in your city, why not? You have to attend.
And definitely to remind you that it's Unisport Bafang that has been topping the MTN Elite One classification table for over 3 games. And it shouldn't be a surprise to you that at the end of the first phase of the MTN Elite One Championship, they should maintain the lead. Mind you, they are just 3 points behind Cotton Sport of Garwa. We are talking about 18 times champions of this particular championship. And yes, we come back to Patrick Mosepe and his bureau in January. Firstly, we have Morocco sending an appeal to say that Senegal doesn't deserve to win the African Cup of Nations because they left the pitch. And according to the rules and regulations of that particular competition, it says that if you leave the game 15 minutes after the game is supposed to be closed, on the pretext of the 82, 83, and 84 article, they win the case. CAF declares them winner, stripping up the title from Senegal. It's a widespread information which is not accommodated by many African and international bodies. Senegal replies by sending in an appeal, and as it stands now, that appeal is with CAS. First of all, your take on the verdict.
Absolutely, Madam Sonita. I think it's not a good time for African football. Neither is it good time for Patrick Motsepe to be at the helm at this particular time. This is not the time that you want to be leading CAF, because this particular decision is so controversial that I think that everybody's on their feet to see what will happen next. And I must tell you that there are so many things that are involved, and it is very complex, sometimes even beyond the way we think, beyond the way we see it. Because first of all, the interpretation of Article 82 and Article 84 is not, the two articles were not really applied the way they were supposed to be applied, because Article 82 is talking about abandonment and refusal to play. Now, if you want to apply, if you want to examine that particular article very well, when they say abandonment or refusal to play, it means that Senegal did not complete that match. They walked off the pitch and they did not return. So now that is the first part of it. But when you look at what happened in Senegal in the final, Senegal, though they left the pitch for 15 minutes, they returned
more than 15 minutes.
Okay, more than 15 minutes or so, and they returned and completed the match. Another problem that Article 82 is facing is because, according to IFAB, the law 5 of that law 5 of IFAB says that if a team walks away, for example, and then the referees confirms that decision by ending the match, it means that that decision is legal and it should be confirmed. But in this case, according to that law 5, it says the referee who is in charge at that particular time has the final say, and the referee continued the match, ended it normally, awarded the trophy to Senegal. So you see, again, that is a problem to Article 82. And when you look at Article 84, Article 84 only lays out the sanction, and even in Article 84 it says they may. There's may in that article. It is a conditional statement. Thank you. And so many people have argued that it might be or it might not be. So you see, in that case again, there is a problem in interpretation of that particular article again.
So that means that Senegal still has claims.
Senegal has a case, although so many pundits, football analysts, they have argued that whenever a decision like this reach the tables of CAS, which is the Court of Arbitration for Sport based in Lausanne, that they have in maybe 99 or 95 upheld the decision of CAS. So lips are still tight, people are still very eager, they are waiting. But this particular decision, it has put CAF and Patrick Motsepe in a very, very difficult position, because neither Senegal nor Morocco is backing off, and you have so many camps, football lovers across the continent. They've already taken side. There are so many of them who are saying that this decision should have not been arrived at, and others who are saying that Morocco has a legitimate case.
But now, when we look at the deep analysis, or should I say Article 82, 83 and 84, should they be revised? Because with such a situation, I tell you, we are tempted to say that in the next African Cup of Nations 2027, a scenario like this can still happen if these articles are not revised.
Exactly, and that is why legal experts, sport legal experts, are of the opinion that it has put CAF in a very difficult situation, because if those articles are not looked at, if they are not revised, it means that they will set a very bad precedent, because there are other teams that will be looking at those articles. Because remember, on the pitch, Senegal accepted defeat, and Morocco accepted defeat and congratulated Senegal.
Thank you.
They went, but behind the scene, administrative procedures, so many people told them that why not go and trigger Article 82. So it came to them that this article, there are loopholes in Article 82 that if we triggered, maybe we'll have a positive decision, and that is what they went. And unfortunately for CAF, I think that it should have not arrived at that decision, because they applied the law strict to sense. The law was very rigid. They did not consider context, they did not consider emotions and the way that match was played. I think that it would have been better for the image of CAF, for the credibility of African football, not to have taken that decision, because majority of football lovers, supporters and fans, they had already taken Senegal as the legitimate African champion. So reversing this decision now has put a lot of pressure on CAF, and it has, put African football on the international stage as a laughing stock. I think that when I listen to so many pundits from Premier League, from other leagues, the way they were talking about African Cup, I felt bad for our football, and I think that we don't deserve to have this kind of problems in African football.
Now, looking at Patrice Motsepe's outing, because mind you, after that particular decision, he granted an interview explaining that he's not in support of whatever claims that the African continent and beyond are throwing at him, but rather he stands as an independent body, accepting whatever decisions that comes out from the disciplinary board. But now the question is it that the referee's report was not taken into account? Secondly, you ask yourself further, if we say that the referee is in charge of a game, why not respect his decisions? So a lot of this, maybe you have to throw some more light.
Yes, I think that from the onset, Mr. Motsepe has been very clear, according to him, that was the decision of CAF appeal board, and he stands away from it, and he does not benefit anything supporting that decision. But we know that he's the boss, and we know that so many experts. You have legal expert, you have sport analysts that are working at CAF, and this decision, I think that it was rushed. There was no consultation. I think consultation should have been done. Time was taken. I mean, 2 months after Senegal won the trophy on the field, and then the issue came up, they should have consulted a lot of people before going out with that decision. So for me, I think that Motsepe is just trying to do what they call damage control. He just think that at this stage, what is left is to protect the integrity of African football, and unfortunately for him, he has to take a decision. And that's why we say that decision is going to be very painful, because reversing a decision now will mean that they have put a lot of pressure on him. Accepting to take this trophy from Senegal is like accepting to take the trophy from the entire African continent, excluding Morocco. So you see that this decision will go down in history as one of the toughest decisions for African football to make.
Now you buy the idea that like many footballers out there, or rather sports lovers, are the opinion that Morocco is being pampered by CAF?
Well, I am not a believer of things that you hear behind. I'm a believer of what we see on the ground. But to add credibility to what they have said, let me say that you are tempted to think in that direction, because when you look at the behavior of Morocco in
even
the entirety of this tournament,
thank you,
what happened with the fans, the supporters, the mascot in the pitch, the aggression even from the Moroccan players, and then the sanctions that came out that were handed out by CAF. I mean, you are tempted to say that Morocco stand to benefit, because remember, Morocco after the finals, they said they are not going to host the female African Cup of Nations, and they have withdrawn. And again later, just out of a sudden, they said no, they are ready.
No, not out of a sudden. After that verdict had to favor them.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they say now.
So
these are the kind of things that will make you to believe that Morocco is being pampered, and Morocco is putting a lot of pressure on CAF. And you know that the headquarters of CAF is in Egypt, which is a brother country to Morocco, that is in the North African countries that speak the same language, almost the same culture. So might be there are so many.
President is from Morocco.
Exactly. So there are so many people that are playing games, I think, behind the scenes. But we don't want to believe all of that. We want to look at things the way they are supposed to be. We want to look at things clearly. We have seen Senegal play on the pitch. We know that they withdrew. And mind you, let me raise a question, because the decision that caused Senegal to walk off the pitch, I must tell you, if a census is conducted today, if polls are put on, even online, majority of football lovers and fans, they will tell that Senegal was correct, because everybody who was watching knew that that was never a penalty kick. And God Almighty equally, I mean, shed light on that particular incident, and the penalty was not scored. It was missed by one of the best players, a player that I love from Real Madrid. He was the best player of the tournament, highest goal scorer, one of my favorite in Real Madrid. But look at the type of penalty that he played. It was just to tell you that even nature was not supporting Morocco, and they should have stood by that decision. Hosting a major tournament like AFCON and then not winning it is not the end of the world. We hosted we spent a lot of money. We had so many glissements and the rest. You remember, we were supposed to postponement. They were saying that we are not going to host. We built the stadium. We had beautiful infrastructure. We hosted and we never reached the finals, and we accepted it, and that is football. So I think that Morocco should have accepted that decision, which they accepted initially. CAF made a mistake, and this mistake now is causing this particular problem that we are having, and it's not going to be easy. I must tell you, Senegal, you saw them with the trophy. They say it's their trophy.
Despite the warning of CAF,
they have the bonuses. And one thing that you raised in the beginning of the program about the 2 stars that they had, you know, they had 1 star initially, and so their kit came out with 1 star when they went to France for the warm-up games, and they were asked, they said no, this is what they prepared already before they even went to, so they had agreement with their kit producer before the African Cup. So it was 1 star, and they did not foresee that they are going to be champions. So now they are fast-tracked things, and they have produced the 2 stars. And I mean, so many people are not blaming them. They have the trophy, they have the medal, they have collected the money. I mean,
the celebration and everything.
Morocco just want recognition, and I think that those who play football, those who love football, they know that football is won on the pitch.
Remember that recognition has already been given to them, with the likes of CAF changing its status, removing Morocco, rather Senegal, as winners and putting Morocco. But now, a quick one. All that has happened. We have Mosepe, who comes out recently to say that he wants to create Africa to be under the canopy of unity. And by so doing, he says he's going to visit Senegal and Morocco. Now, the message he sends to the Senegalese population is based on the fact that football is not going to divide us Africans. What can you say about that? Should we say he's hiding under the canopy of the decision, or he really just has good intentions?
Like I said, nobody wants to be in his footstep at the moment, but I think he's doing damage control. Like I said, there are a lot of factors, that the reasons why he's visiting these African countries. First is that I think he wants to de-escalate the tensions, and he wants to meet the various federations first of all, because if a legal battle is going on, mind you, the parties have to be, first of all, you have to calm down the tempers of the various federations, even the states, the various governments of these 2 countries. He wants to de-escalate. That is first. Another reason is that he wants to protect the image and credibility of CAF. That is another thing, because he has seen where this particular decision has placed CAF, and he's of the opinion that I'll have to make this decision so that I really tell the African continent and the entire world that CAF is a credible institution. So he wants to protect image and credibility. Another reason is also that he wants to manage legal battles, because he knows where this is heading to. He's heading to CAS. It's not going to be an easy one.
Just to cut you short, talking about legal battles, these are Patrick Mosepe's words in terms of the legal side.
Yes.
He wrote, or he said rather, that we have given money and trophy to Senegal. Whatever decision is taken by the Court of Arbitration for Sports, we will respect it. It was a bit surprise because the media said CAF president support a decision. I respect a decision, whether I agree or I disagree, whether I like it or it is irrelevant, and I have got to implement it.
Yes, I think at the moment he's trying to throw everything to CAS. You know, since he's in a very difficult situation, he was just shifting that every decision that CAS takes, they are going to respect it. He is going to, so that whatever comes out from CAF, he says, okay, this is now not CAF, this is CAS now. But you have to look at who first of all started what is ongoing in CAS. That is the real problem, because whatever decision CAS takes, people are not going to be angry, they are not going to be frustrated, they are not going to be reluctant to work with CAS as it will be with CAF, because they know that the real person who perpetrated this particular problem is CAF, and it is Motsepe at the head. And you know, he knows that this is going to create a lot of cracks in African football. He wants to prevent it. He also knows that you want to do you want to repair the damage that this has caused to African football, especially with other federations that are watching what is happening. So for me, I think that at the moment he will have to take responsibility, saying that whatever comes out from CAS is not going to be his business. It should not be coming from a leader of his caliber. So I think that whatever comes out from CAS, he should also take it and say, okay, CAS and CAF, this is what we have decided. And either Senegal or Morocco, this is the decision that you did not like, so you take it and take it like that. So I think that whatever ruling comes out now, divisions are going to be created, cracks will open. But for me, like I said earlier, it is better CAF doesn't uphold the decision of the appeal board of CAF. It should be maintained that Senegal are the legitimate and rightful winners, because we are going to then have Morocco against the entire African continent, and that is not going to be good for African football.
Talking about Morocco being against the entire African continent, a quick word. Remember that this particular side has always proven to be isolated. They always don't see themselves as Africans.
Exactly.
We have seen that in many competitions. I remember when Cameroon hosted, they came in with pillows, as if our hotel rooms did not have pillows. Same thing when they went to Ivory Coast. And you start asking yourself, is it that they don't see themselves? In fact, they have been saying it. So a lot of these things is just going to add a whole lot of talks. But a quick one, we have people asking ourselves that what if CAS doesn't give a different decision?
Exactly. Before I come to the decision of CAS, I think that unfortunately Morocco is noted for this behavior, and this is not African. I would say we know Africa, we are people of value, of respect. We knew that when they came to Cameroon, they brought everything, including water to drink.
Thank you.
It was a major discussion. So many people said no, it's because their country is developed, they have the infrastructure, and here we don't have it. We should blame our government. They see themselves more as Europeans than Africans, and so on and so forth. But I think what is very important and what we should look at is the legal text. We look at the map of Africa that places them in Africa. We call them Africans, and we know that they are Africans. And Morocco is not the only country with the white skin color.
We must say we
have Algeria, we have Tunisia, we have Egypt, we have South Africa, we have even Mauritania, and so on and so forth. So I think that that behavior from Morocco is not a good one, especially when they are placed in the map of Africa. Now, coming to what CAS is going to uphold, I think if CAS upholds the decision of the appeal board of CAF, it's not going to be good for African football. So it's going to create division, and what Motsepe has been running away is going to appear, because all what he is trying to shifting blames, doing damage control, and so on and so forth, it's going to appear, because we know that as things stands now, it is Morocco against the entire African continent.
Definitely. And a quick one in terms of the Secretary General position, where we have the likes of Samson Adamu, who replaces the likes of Veron and Musonga Ubam. Now, a lot of people are looking at this replacement, or rather this the likes of Veron stepping down in the midst of a controversy. And we have people attaching it to the fact that he's not happy with whatever that is happening with CAF.
I think all of this should not have happened, first of all, because when resignations or stepping down or things like this are done, there are background people that are aware of it. I think they should have advised him, because in a major standoff like this one, he should have stayed, calm down, sort out the problem that African, because now it's not about individual, it's about the African football, the continent. So people are looking at the African continent in terms of football as a continent that is not ripe and that is not ready, and this is costing us a lot. That is why when you talk about African football, European teams to coming to play in Africa, you see them very reluctant using our pitches. I mean, the decisions that are taken on the pitch, sometimes they are right, although so in many of the cases they are not. But if things like this are happening, I think that you say that they have a point. So I think that stepping down for him should have not happened. It is unfortunate he has done that amidst a very serious escalation in African football. That is rather very unfortunate, and Samson Adamu has already taken over. We're hoping that he's a gentleman that is cool-headed. We think that, and we hope that he will advise the president on the very important things. And why not our own cool-headed Samuel Eto'o, who is also part of
the
CAF. I mean, we saw him in the recent meetings that they had. I know that he has gone through a lot. He knows when it comes to this type of standoff. I think that
everybody is
all of them now have to rally behind the president to give him the good advice while waiting for the decision of CAS.
Now, I want you to personalize yourself. If you were part of the executive core members of CAF before the decision was taken, you've been part of that panel as part of the disciplinary board, what will your opinion be?
Okay, I think that my opinion will be that there were violations. We recognize the fact that Senegal walked out of the pitch, though they were asked to return, I think, even by the officials, even by Motsepe, who was also seated. He was of the opinion that please don't walk off, come back and
Mind
play.
you,
We saw so many of them, even the Moroccan
African Cup of
Federation
Nations.
that is behind this case also called them and asked them to come back and play, and they did. We applauded Sadio Mane. He's a hero today in Senegal because
Yeah,
he
brother.
prevented something that would have been a disaster for African football.
Imagine the finals of an African Cup of Nations.
Abandoning a final midway and then handing medals to people who did not win on the pitch.
Yeah.
So all of that happened, and I think that if you are in that board, or if I was in that decision, I think that the decision of the referee should have been maintained, should have been final. Senegal was fine. I think they should have even been suspended maybe from one African Cup of Nations
Because of that.
because of that, and then given heavy financial sanctions to pay.
Remember, it was done.
Yes,
So the coach
it was done to the coach and some
and some
particular
players,
players.
yeah.
So I think that suspending them for even one AFCON would have been, I mean,
better than the decision.
better than a decision of stripping them off of the title that they
fought hard.
and then end on the pitch in front of millions of viewers who saw them as the rightful winners of this particular tournament. So I think that for me it should have been a simple decision. Allow Senegal with their trophy, sanction them, look at what bet, telling them that they should hand back a decision, something that we've not, I mean, seen recently in African football. It was a bad decision.
And in terms of the articles, you talked about revising them.
Yes, I think that now it has opened the eyes of so many federations, so many football teams, and so many football analysts who are going to give advice. You know, football is business,
Yeah.
and so many people they hire legal experts. So I mean, advise them on what to do and what not to do. So articles like this that are ambiguous, that are not applied the way they should have been applied in so many multiple situations, I think they should be revised, and this is the time for the Confederation of African Football to do it now. And mind you, because in African football recently we have been doing mostly copy and paste, because if you look at the shifting of the tournament from the regular 2 to 4 years, so many Europeans are of the opinion that why are you copying the Euros? Because this is exactly what is happening with the Euros. 4 years and we're going to that period. Why do we not want to be Africans with a separate identity? We play our 2 years football. We know that it is time enough to declare talent in Africa, time enough to revise our articles. We have time enough to learn so many things for 2 years. Why take the 4 years again? Why the 4 years?
Because I was actually coming to that. You're looking at, despite the fact that we have people saying that he's shading behind the African Champions League, which is going to be played every year, but minimizing the African Cup of Nations that has been the pride of Africa.
Yes, the African Championship, to be honest with you, hasn't bear fruit recently. We have seen them when they play at the level of Africa, it is football, but you know, when they are pitted to play the intercontinentals, you see how the African teams suffered, because the quality of African football, because if you look at the players that we have, African players playing in Europe, they are different players.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the collective African football, you see that a lot is lacking. So I think that is where CAF should be investing. We should invest in our championships, we should invest in the CAF, and then we should not be imitating leagues that are advanced, that have a lot of resources, technology, the finances, the media, and so on and so forth. So I think that copying them and then playing after 4 years is not going to develop African football, because it means that you are going to do an event and then you come back 4 years later to do the next event. It's not going to develop an African football that is really begging for development.
And people talk about, what about players that started playing football at a very late age, hoping that with just 2 years they can be able to play at least 8 to 7 African Cup of Nations before going on retirement. But now with an extension of additional 2 years, what happens to them? And mind you, players like Sadio Mane during the last African Cup of Nations said that this might be his last African Cup of Nations. And I'm very sure that you have a lot of African players within themselves who already know that after the 2027 African Cup of Nations that is coming up, it may be going to be their last African Cup of Nations, because the next one is coming only in 2030, if I'm not making a mistake. You imagine the space for a player, that's huge for development. And equally, a lot of this has been creating controversy, despite the fact that Musepe continues to say that with focus on the African Champions League, the player development is going to continue. But now, do you see the African Champions League as a failure, just like Chan? Mind you, Chan came, but he failed. And now we are having the African Champions League with an extension of the AFCON.
Yes, I want to say that the African Cup of Nations is our biggest platform to sell African talent. That is the first thing that we have to notice. And then if we say we are going to do that event after 4 years, focusing on the African Champions League, how they call it African Champions League, I think that you ask yourself, because we're investing in our football and footballers, and they are playing in Europe, they play abroad. And you know that African Cup of Nations is widely recognized throughout the world. You have coaches, you have team scouts that turns their focus when AFCON is happening. That's when they detect talent, that's when they sign most of our players. But ask yourself, who is focusing on the African Champions League? It has a very minimal viewership. We know it in Africa. Not so many people. Even people in Africa, people here in Cameroon, if you ask so many of them, the format, the duration, I mean, there are so many details that people are not aware. And you know that football in Africa, especially West and Central Africa, is really very, very slow in terms of development. But when people turn to African Cup of Nations, you know that they are going to dictate talent. They are going to send most of our players abroad, where we know and recognize that the facilities and the technology is there for them to develop. And we also pray that when they develop abroad, they should come back and play for Africa, like some of them have done. But if we have AFCON after 4 years, it's not going to do good for African football.
And that's why you're going to ask yourself why the under-20, under-23 Lions of the Indomitable, under-23 coach of the Indomitable Lions, Kate Fonshi, who made a selection of 30 players. Mind you, all these 30 players are out of the country, playing for the academies like Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Liverpool. And this issue, or this selection, was not accepted by many Cameroonians, because knowing that they have the MTN Elite 1 Championship, MTN Elite 2 Championship, and academic structures here like the Brazzaville, the football academy like Brazzaville, Bestas Academy, who have household names in Cameroon. Why not handpick and Galatic? Why not handpick some of these players from these local academics here to do a melange of those who are out? Do you know the response?
Yes, I think that is what we have been crying for a lot. Recently, I discussed with a friend. When I asked, he told me that Cameroon is playing with Australia, and I was happy. And then I asked him, is the Cameroon Ballon d'Or among the players shortlisted? And he told me no. I said, but what are we doing if we say somebody is the best player in Cameroon and he's not able to travel with the team and even sit on the bench? Then what are we doing to African football? And he was like, no, they are already aware that he's the best in Cameroon, and this is just a warm-up friendly, and they are going to call him later, and so on and so forth. But
a quick response to that.
Yes.
We journalists also ask ourselves, but according to reports, it was said that Serge Daoura was about traveling out of the country. There was a movement of transfer. That's why even when the MTN Elite 1 started, he stayed for 2 or 3 playing days without being on the list, which means that they already knew that it was a possible movement. And now with that, he wasn't fit, or he had not played 2 or 3 games, and David Plagu asked himself, yes, we are the 2025 African Cameroon Ballon d'Or, but in terms of the new football season, you have not touched the ball. What performance are you going to deliver if I have to select you? So you see that these were some of the things that David Plagu himself was looking at. And I hope that this particular answer has to satisfy Some of you equally were grumbling why the likes of Serge Daoua was not part of the 30-player list equally that was selected by Coach David Park, where they had a total of about 6 or 5 camping days in Yaoundé, where out of, mind you, out of that 30, just about 3 or 4 made up the list that are currently in China ahead of their game against China. Mind you, they are going to be playing their second game in terms of the mass FIFA series tournament, and that particular game is going to be played tomorrow, March 31st. And equally to remind you that Cameroon has 0 points after 1 games played, and with China leading this particular table, followed by Australia. And equally, we already clocking time out of the program. But a quick one. Do you think that the Senegalese population is going to welcome Patrice Motsepe with an open hand?
It's very difficult to determine at this juncture, because like any ordinary football lover and supporter, they are of the opinion that before the case went to CAS, Motsepe was behind whatever happened. So I think that from an ordinary fan points of view, they are not going to welcome him in Senegal. But even if they're going to welcome him, they will do it with a protest to tell him that this decision, that the earlier decision taken, those who won on the pitch should be maintained as the rightful winners and champions of the African Cup of Nations, and they are going to come out with placards. Maybe you should not be surprised to see some of them marching with the replica of the trophy, and why not even with some medals, to really send a strong message to him that Senegal, the Senegalese population is not backing off, and you better consult with CAS, which you are going to tell us that it's out of your reach, but you should better consult with them to tell them that we are expecting
a favorable
we are not expecting any other decision apart of a decision that is going to favor Senegal.
Definitely, and according to Manu Musa, he says that the Senegalese population, why not toes up to welcome Patrice Motsepe, as their messages are definitely going to be clear. To you watching us, do you think that Patrice Motsepe is going to be welcomed with an open hand? We are going to see that as the days unfold. Mind you, after Senegal, he will be going to Morocco, and it's at this level that we are going to draw the curtains of today's edition. But before we take leave of you, I want to say thank you very much equally for answering a present on this particular platform, and hope to see you, why not, in the subsequent edition. Mind you, Real equally will be playing tomorrow, I think so, while Barcelona will be playing on Wednesday. Once more, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Sonita. It's always a pleasure to be here to talk about football, to talk about Real Madrid and what is happening across the African continent. It's always a pleasure, and I'll be happy to be here again next time. Thank you.
Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
And I'm sure my Barcelona fans will be very angry, but I'm sorry, I have to belong to where, in fact, the most prestigious team in the world, the best in the world. I know if I have to talk about Kylian Mbappe and the likes of others, some people are going to be so furious. But it's at this juncture that we are going to close the program for today. But before we go, a reminder that we are having the MTN Elite 1 and 2 games, especially, that will be unfolding as of tomorrow. Mind you, the MTN Elite 2 Championship equally will be returning on the Friday for match day 8, and equally our lone representative or flagship bearer in this particular competition, which is Kumba City Football Club, equally will be playing away. Mind you, this is Kumba City that has a total of 15 points, and with the likes of their coach, he has rightly said that they are going in for a battle, especially when they have already conceded, or rather recorded, 2 defeats in a row. And equally, Victoria United over the weekend picked up a 2-2 draw against Stade Renard. Despite the several controversies, it was Junior Yan equally that gave in a brace to bring the game into a split points between Stade Renard of the Melon and Victoria United at the Gemeomi Sports Stadium. These and more are some of the stories that we brought to you today on the program. And equally, to tell you that Thank you very much to our technician there for making sure that we were live on screen, and equally generous supervision from Alhaji Buba Saleh. And yes, the name is Sonita Gunyi. Do not forget, do have a lovely evening. But remember, news hour is coming in a bit. Bye-bye.